Okay, so in today's video, something a little bit different. I'm going to be having a look at the speaking exam, the C2 Proficiency Speaking exam by Cambridge. And I've often used these videos in the classroom to sort of point out to students what you should and shouldn't be doing in this part of the exam. It's a part that a lot of people get wrong, and a lot of it's to do with like your personality, your attitude, rather than your level of English. Like, some people are just really good at this naturally, others are not. And you're going to see very clearly, very quickly, that of the two candidates here, one of them is more proficient, certainly in terms of speaking, than the other. I won't tell you who, because it will become obvious immediately. And I think it's more to do with problems of assertiveness and confidence and things like that. And well, we're just going to have a look at part one and part two, I think, in today's video. Part one's very easy. They just ask you a couple of personal questions, but even then we start to see that one of the candidates is having problems with their confidence. I'm just going to have a look through it, and I'll tell you what I think, in my professional opinion, about how they could have done it better, how they could have done it worse, you know. What they did right and what they did wrong, basically, I think. Okay, so let's go. Let's have a look at these two.
Good morning. My name is Sally Matson, and this is my colleague Jill Budgie. And your names are?
Derk
and Annick.
Could I have your mark sheets, please? Thank you. First of all, we'd like to know something about you. Where are you from, Derk?
I'm from Holland. I'm from Haarlem. It's near to the west coast of Holland.
And you, Annie?
And I'm from Zurich, Switzerland.
Mm-hmm. Are you working or studying at the moment?
I'm studying at the moment. But now I'm right now taking a gap year, so obviously I'm not studying English. But...
So yeah, Annick has started really well. Obviously, the first couple of questions are really easy and you shouldn't struggle. But she's just been very natural. She's just answering the question now. She's looking at the examiner. She's smiling. She's saying, yeah, well, at the moment I'm taking a gap year. I'm studying, but I'm taking a year out, or something like that, she said. Very natural, not forcing it. Clearly hasn't prepared the answer, but is prepared for what kind of question she's going to be getting.
And you?
I'm having a gap year. I finished my high school this summer, and I'm going to university next summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he kind of a bit, like I say, I'm pretty sure if he's sitting the C2 exam, he's got a better level of English than what one would assume watching that response. So he's very sort of talking down like that, and then he trails off at the end. And you get people who speak like that in their own language, and I would say it's a problem in your own language, but if you're doing an exam in a second language, yeah, it's a really big problem. Be assertive, be concise, be precise. Give a clear answer, right? Okay, so he starts off okay, right? He's like, I'm having a gap year. I finished high school last year, and then next year going to university. It's like just say it. And next year I'm going to university. Be more assertive. Realize that they want to hear that you understand the question and you have a clear answer to it, right? There's no right or wrong answers. But look at Jill Budgie. She's concerned. Look at her concerned face. Okay, let's carry on.
Can you tell us something about your plans for the future in terms of work?
I want to become a doctor. I want to improve the health of human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I don't mean to keep picking on Derk, but he's like thinking away in the sky. It's like, oh, why would I want to be a doctor? Like, I want to be a doctor. I want to study medicine. I want to help people. That, even though it's more simple than the sentence he said, which is, I want to improve the health of human beings, it's just not very natural to say a sentence like that. It's almost like he had it thought out beforehand, and he was kind of like reading a cue off screen or something. It was just a bizarre way to answer it. It's fine. It's not going to cost him any points at this point. You know, it's going okay, but it's just not very natural, is it? Whereas you see, Annick is her name, I think. She's just loving the whole experience. look at her smug face. She's just enjoying the exam. Yeah, and well, we'll see how it goes for both of them as we move on.
What do you think you'll be doing this time next year?
Well, I'll be doing my bank internship, which takes 18 months. So next year, obviously, I'm going to be there and taking my exams probably pretty much.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no lack of confidence there with Annick. She just responds, and it's a good answer as well. It's like, no, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a fireman. I'll be doing my bank internship. She's got something in the bag there. It's a little bit of technical vocabulary that a lot of people would get wrong. I'll be doing my bank internship, which will take about 18 months. So it's like, yeah, and then she's not worried. She knows she's given a correct answer, and she just goes, yep. I'm ready for the next one. Give me another question. She's so confident. And that is a big problem, you know. But part of her confidence is because she's so relaxed. She's so natural. She's smiling and speaking and looking at the camera. Looking at the camera. That's me. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking at the camera. She's looking at the examiner. Just really good. At the moment. It's not a perfect exam for Annick, by the way. At the moment, though, pretty good.
Now, in this part of the test, you're going to do something together. Here are some pictures of different situations. First, I'd like you to look at pictures A and D and talk together about the sounds you might hear in these situations. You have about a minute for this, so don't worry if I interrupt you.
So, obviously, you can think to yourself, what an abstract question, right? Say that it's an abstract question. This is a really big problem that goes from PET, first, advanced, proficiency. You are being tested on your ability to speak English, right? So if the thought that goes through your head is, wow, they're asking me what sounds I might hear in the jungle or at the beach, it's like, I don't know. Say that. Why don't you just say that? It's fine to tell them how you're feeling about the question, right? And even when you're doing that, you can make it clear that you've understood the question at the same time, no? So my response there might be something like, what sounds? That's a pretty difficult question. I don't know. What kind of things can you hear in the jungle? I'm not sure. And if I can't think of anything, I can say to my partner, what do you think? What kind of thing? That's actually really good. And here's something that these two are really bad at, is interacting. Because they're asking you to interact here in this part 2, right? It's not like in the previous exams that you might have done in first and advanced. You have to speak together in part 2. And they're not very good at that for very different reasons. But yeah, why don't you start like that? Just right off the bat. God, that's a really difficult question. I don't know. I don't know what kind of sounds you do hear in the jungle. What do you think, Derk? But let's see what they do. And this is where, for me, it goes terribly. More for one than the other, but really for both of them. They're not doing the exam very well from this point onwards.
Okay, on picture A, you can see, I think, some kind of jungle with chimpanzees.
Yes.
So I guess there are a lot of natural sounds, like leaves moving and maybe some water. Maybe there's a river nearby.
And maybe the roaring of the chimpanzees as well.
Yeah, or gorillas. I don't know, some kind of
the
apes.
wind, yeah.
So, and you're starting to see the beginning of where they start to go wrong. So, first of all, Annick started brilliantly. Like, her English is so good and she's so confident. She's like, maybe you could hear like the rustling of the leaves or a river flowing or the noises of the chimpanzees or something like that. And then Derk finally gets the confidence to chip in. And you know what? His contribution's not bad. He uses good vocabulary, maybe the roaring of the chimpanzees. And it's like, and this is the start of a pattern. And it goes, well, or gorillas, or I don't know, or some kind of ape, whatever they are. And it's like, great, amazing. She's shown more vocabulary, gorillas, apes. But she's kind of going to Derk, well, I'm not sure they are chimpanzees, when she was the person who said they were chimpanzees. It's okay, but it gets worse.
And yeah, maybe also some birds, because there are going to be a lot of birds.
Definitely, yeah.
And what other animals could there be? Well, just different kind of insects maybe as well.
So, there's a little bit of a pause there, which is it's not a problem. It's not a massive problem. You know, you got a minute to talk about the sounds you can hear in two different pictures, potentially, hypothetically. It's not a big problem if there's a pause, but they're kind of getting trapped into this cycle that a lot of people do in the speaking exam, of going into a list. It's like, okay, I can hear chimpanzees and leaves and rivers and what other animals exist? And it's like, you're not being asked to list all the animals in the jungle. You're being asked if you to imagine what kind of sounds you might hear in that situation, right? So start saying, I just don't know what else you can hear in the jungle. I can't imagine anything else. I don't know, Derk, do you have any ideas? But no, she just goes, I don't know, what other animals are there? Insects. I'm just going to go back a little bit so you can hear that. She says maybe insects or something like that. The response from Derk is amazing. And then this is one of my favourite interactions. One of my favourite on-screen interactions of all time, I think. This is Hollywood.
Different kind of insects maybe as well.
But I don't think you hear them a lot. About G?
Depends.
That's amazing. That's just like the opposite of what you should be doing in this part of the exam. So she's got trapped in the list, which is a big problem. Getting trapped in lists in the speaking exam is such a common problem. It's like maybe some insects, maybe. Her vocabulary is great. Like, don't get me wrong, she's amazing at English. And I think Derk is as well. He's just got zero confidence and he's getting smashed by Annick, who's just like blitzing the exam. But she says insects and he's like, I don't think you can hear them. Maybe. And it's like, what are you saying? She's just thinking about noises that you could potentially hear in the jungle. And then she's like, some insects, maybe. And he's like, no. No. And then she's like, well, it depends. Like, you know, the only thing she needed to do was wink at the examiners and say, I'm nailing this, aren't I? He hasn't got a bloody clue. You can hear insects, of course you can. You're not competing against each other. You know, there's not... it's not... this isn't Mad Max, you know. 2 men in, 1 man out. It's, you know, you've got to be helping each other. You're meant to be having a conversation. Anyway, they move on to picture D now, which is the beach here. So let's see what they say.
The water, definitely, of the sea. I mean, the sound of the rolling plastic objects.
Yeah, but I don't think you hear any people because it doesn't look so nice there. So I think it's going to be pretty much silent there.
Thank you. Now look at all.
Right, so I think Derk mentioned the plastic in the water, something like that. So she did let him speak there. That was benevolent of her. Beneficent. She let Derk get his opinion out. And then, okay, fair enough. She says, I don't think you would hear any people. Because you can also speak about what you wouldn't hear because it doesn't look very nice there. It's quite a polluted beach. Fair enough. It goes further downhill now in the second part of part 2 when they start to look at all of the pictures. So listen to what they have to do here now.
Pictures. I'd like you to imagine that an environmental organisation is planning a poster campaign to raise public awareness of environmental issues. Talk together about the environmental issues suggested by these images. Then decide on an image for the poster which would be most effective in raising public awareness. You have about 3 minutes to talk about this.
Okay, so 3 minutes to look at all of those pictures. Now, interaction here is going to have to be like really good. You're going to have to engage with the other candidate. Now, you're going to have to listen to their opinions and not shut them down and not interrupt too much, but make sure that you're assertive enough to get your opinion across. And just be really involved in the conversation, right? Just try not to think about what the examiner's analysing. You're at C2 level, right? You've got more than enough ability to look at a bunch of pictures and talk about which one would be better to use in an advertising campaign for raising awareness, was it? Raising awareness about environmental issues. So you look at the photos, what do they represent? Are they good at demonstrating, or are they a good example of an environmental problem that would raise awareness, that would draw people's attention? Just thinking about it and thinking out loud, the thoughts that go through your head, speak them. It's fine. You've just got to interact. It's a real conversation. That's the idea. We want to see your ability to hold a semi-academic conversation in English. So let's see how they do.
I think the environmental issue in the first photograph is about the extinction of animals.
Lots
yes.
of species.
Yes.
Yeah, but you cannot really see that they're not doing well. It looks like a typical calendar picture, or it doesn't look too bad. So I don't think this is a suitable picture.
They're having the good life in there.
Yeah,
it seems like
they look happy with the baby on the back. And
yes. What do you think?
So we got a couple of problems there. So again, Annick dominating, right? She's saying, describing everything she can see, saying why it's not a good idea for a campaign. He first of all, it doesn't start out too bad, no? So Derk says, I think what this represents is the destruction of habitats or something like that. No, the extinction of certain animals, species. And then, of course, Annick comes in with better fluency and better vocabulary. And she says why it wouldn't be a good photo to use in the campaign. And she explains it pretty well. And then he just kind of repeats it, but in a less complex way. He kind of goes, oh, yeah, that's the good life. And it doesn't really help with the conversation. Just say, look, yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, they've got it good there. It's not a good photo. Let's move on to the next one. I think in the next one, well, let's see what they say about the next one. But we see the same pattern over and over again. We see Annick dominating. We see Derk kind of too timid, not assertive enough. And, it's a shame, really, because I think they're both very, very good. I think, well, they must be. They're sitting the C2 exam. They understand what's going on. They're both very good candidates. They're not doing the exam very well. The speaking part, at least.
What about B?
B, I also don't think it's that suitable for the campaign, because I don't think it makes a big change for the awareness of the people if they see the picture, because they probably won't connect it to pollution or deforestation or anything. The only thing here is like the plastic cup, or I don't know, maybe it's a glass.
Yeah, maybe it's the pollution
so
of water.
It. Yeah, because this is obviously I think,
yes,
frizzy water, like filtered water from a spring. So I also don't think this is suitable.
I don't think either.
Picture
I think
C.
Yeah, that's, again, it's all completely wrong. So I think Annick she's done really well, again. But she's just dominated it for the whole time. And then she doesn't even let Derk finish, because I guess she's getting anxious. She realises they're spending too much time on the first two. They have got 3 minutes, so you must remember 3 minutes to talk about 5 photos. I mean, it's not particularly difficult, is it? But, she's like, okay, let's move on. And he's like, yeah, I agree. And then she's like, okay, what about C? It's like he hasn't been able to say anything. Will she let him speak about photo C? Let's find out.
Yeah, it's a rather good one. You see all the... It's a third world country, a developing country. certainly.
Yeah, and you can also see in between all the forest parts. So maybe there was a lot of deforestation going on before, so they could build houses.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there's a really big problem, and again, and it's because Derk is not thinking out loud. He's thinking one thing and saying another thing, and then you can see the dissonance in the way he expresses himself. Now, because he's clearly thinking, I don't know what that photo, what does that photo represent? So you got a photo with no trees, where it looks like there might have been some tree. I don't know, what's that? He's like, oh, I think it's a poor country. I think it's a third world country. It's like, just say, I don't know what that is. I would say that out loud because I'm thinking it. I'd say, I'm not sure what that represents. What is that? I don't know. Can you help me here? Because I can see what it is. I can see like a big open space where it looks like perhaps trees have been cut down. I'm not sure really. And Annick starts talking about deforestation. So I think she's probably right, as she is with most things. Again, Derk is just lost again.
So this would be, I think, one of the better pictures for the campaign,
definitely.
because you can see that there's been some deforestation.
Yes, I think
And
these
probably
are
also
good.
then loss of species because the animals don't have their normal habitats
Yeah,
anymore.
because all the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, so again, we're seeing again the same pattern. And a big problem, it's like, there's a good thing that Annick is very assertive and she's making it very clear to the examiners that she has a very good level of fluency, has a great vocabulary. So, yeah, she's talking about deforestation. And Derk's just immediately agreeing with her, like, yeah, you're right. I think it would be a good photo for the campaign. He doesn't even say that. He's like, yeah, I agree. You know, it's very, very... Stand up for yourself. It's okay to say, oh, well, yeah, maybe. It's just, I didn't think it was very obvious what that photo represented. I think he's got the English level to be able to say something like that. He just doesn't have the confidence, and that's really important. You need the confidence to be able to speak up in this part. And, so she's dominated again. And then Derk's trying to move on to D, and then she just continues to talk over him. It's all going pretty badly wrong. I'll just play those last few seconds again so you can see what I'm talking about.
They could build houses.
Yeah.
So this would be, I think, one of the better pictures for the
Yes,
campaign
definitely.
because you can see that there's been some deforestation.
Yes, I think
And
these
probably
are
also
good.
then loss of species because the animals don't have their normal habitats
Yeah,
anymore.
because all the trees.
Because all the trees.
They cut down all the trees. I think these are a good one as well.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a common picture.
Because normally beaches are supposed to be nice and families want to spend their time there or go for a stroll. And if it looks like this, I'm pretty much certain that no one wants to go there.
Yeah, so I mean, a huge problem here. I mean, Derk has said, he's tried to be assertive there. He's like, I think D's a good one. And then she's just like, yeah, because families want to go for a stroll on the beach, and that beach doesn't look very nice. It looks kind of polluted, and there's a lot of rubbish and stuff. She's just completely like mowing him down. She's not letting him speak. I mean, I'm just going to play that again. Look at his little face. Poor Derk.
Trees. I think these are a good one as well.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a common picture.
Because normally beaches are supposed to
at
be
him.
nice and families want to spend their time there or go for a stroll. And if it looks like this, I'm pretty much certain that no one wants to go there. So this would raise awareness.
It looks like such a
environment.
well-known white beach with the light blue water, but it's all
Yeah, but to
polluted
be honest,
by
pretty much every
plastic
beach
and everything.
looks kind of similar nowadays because everyone's just throwing away their
Yeah.
Coca-Cola cans and
Yeah, I mean, she's just like, I mean, it's got to a point now where it's just embarrassing to watch because she's completely dominating. She's clearly more fluent, clearly more confident, and Derk isn't standing up for himself, and it's getting to the point where it's a bit hostile. He's kind of looking at her like that, like he's desperate for someone to shut her up, because she's really speaking over him. And it's just not going well. So she's clearly going to get a very good mark because she can clearly speak very good English. But she won't get full marks because she's not doing the task as it should be done. No, she's not holding a conversation. She's pretty much lecturing poor Derk. And it's it's uncomfortable to watch, really. Lost my place.
Because normally beaches are supposed to be nice and families want to spend their time there or go for a stroll. And if it looks like this, I'm pretty much certain that no one wants to go there. So this would raise awareness.
It looks like such a well-known white beach with the light blue water, but it's all polluted.
To be honest, pretty much every beach looks kind of similar nowadays because everyone's just throwing away their Coca-Cola cans, and so it's quite common.
But it's very hard to make all litter bins on all beaches.
Yeah.
What do you think about E?
Well, it looks like I don't really connect it with environment because they're just old used cars that are being compressed.
Yeah, maybe they use the metal again. Yeah.
Yeah, but also I wouldn't use it for the campaign.
No, I think.
So I think we choose D.
D. Yeah, it's the best one, definitely.
Yes, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. Like every time he tries to speak, he allows himself to get, sort of beaten down like that. He really needs to assert himself. Annick really needs to learn to let the other candidates speak and get their opinion out, even if it's not great, even if it's not as articulate as hers. She can't. You can't dominate the other candidate like that. It's I don't want to go into it any further. I'm not going to give any more opinions about the two candidates. Just that this is not the way to do it. So far, it's a poor exam, really, from both of them. Despite the fact that I'm certain, Annick has got it's pretty much native level, isn't it? It's brilliant. But Derk, I think, would have been able to perform better if he had been with someone else who wasn't sort of just bulldozing him for the entire exam. But I think it ends here, part 2 now, and
and I think
pretty much
it's really bad because you can use metal again. You can recycle it.
And D actually affects the people.
Yes.
So
definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, so he tried to... She's just like, yeah, we're going to use D, aren't we? And he's like, yes, but E is bad because we can recycle. Yeah. That is not the way to do it. I think I'm going to have a look at part 3 and 4 another day. But yeah, that's how not to do part 1 and 2, by the way. I'd like to see 2 Derks or 2 Annicks, because they were kind of like the polar opposites. No, they were the 2 extremes of how not to do the exam, I think. Anyway, done for today. See you in the next one.